You know the saying, you don't see the world the way it is, you see the world the way you are. And most of the things that are blind spots are our blind spots because we're just not aware that this is something that only we experience. It's the typical example of the fish that lives in water and has no idea that other people are not in water. And that's how it is with us. There's this one thing we do so often thinking that this is what people crave. And then we get this feedback of why you're doing this, you're annoying me, you're triggering me, and we don't know what happened. So this is the thing I want to talk to you about today because once I figured this out, I actually was able to really demand and take what I needed instead of hoping that people will give it to me because I give it to them. Let's talk about this because this can make a huge difference in your life moving forward. There's a part of us that is so extremely powerful where we take up space and it's our world and everybody else is just outside of that. We can create this space, we can create this world where it's our world, and this is not something I'm willing to compromise. But we don't want to take that because if we take up that space, we're inevitably pushing people out. So, what are we doing all the time when we see people who we feel like, oh, they're neglecting a part of themselves, they're not living out their true nature? We're creating space for them. We're making space and we're saying, be everything that you are, and I'm still going to like you. Does that resonate with you? Because this is definitely how I felt for so long before I recognized what I was doing. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. This is what we want. Every single time I've met a person and I had this instant chemistry with, it might have been like a romantic partner, or let's even say somebody that you felt that is somebody that you could have a deep friendship with. It was always based on, I believe that person can take me being myself. And so we don't believe in so many ways that we deserve to just ask for it. Or if we ask for it, we see the other person gets triggered by it because they are not allowing themselves to be that way. So we continuously make space for others. We allow them to be more of what they want to be. We allow them to go overboard. We're not setting boundaries. We're not saying, this goes too far. I accept you despite you doing all of that. And this in itself is a skill. I really don't need to set boundaries at such an extent as other people might. It doesn't really take away who I am. I can still feel myself. But here is the biggest problem of this entire habit. We assume that's what people want and that's what people need. But most people don't need that. Most people have no idea why you're doing this. And what they're experiencing is, I need you to show me who you are so I feel safe. For most people, who you make space for and they actually get triggered by it, they don't treat you right, they get really frustrated with you, or there's this passive aggressive energy that you feel and you ask yourself, why? That's why. That's not what they need. They don't need that space. They can take up that space. They're just afraid of losing themselves. They have completely different challenges. And what they want from you is for you to be authentically you. Because then they will feel safe. Because then they know who you are, what you're about, and they can move accordingly. But we're ambiguous about it. We don't show people where our boundaries are at. Why? Well, because we want to be good for them. We want to help them. We want to make space for them. Because in the back of our mind, this is what everybody craves. That's what we think, because it's something we crave so much. And similar to the example I gave in the beginning of, when you're fish in water, you don't recognize that there are other animals that don't live in water and they need something completely different. And so there's always this push-pull energy because you, on the other hand, are saying, I'm giving up more of who I am. I'm making more and more space for you. And on the other hand, I'm getting the feedback of, you're not showing me who you are. Why you're doing this? I'm getting really angry at you. And you don't know what's going on, the other person doesn't know what's going on. So what if we did it differently? What if we assumed that we don't know what people need exactly? Because we don't. We just know. We know a lot, but at the end of the day, the only person who can heal that person is themselves. This is a given. This is something we have to learn as a rule. And the only way we can help them is through inspiring them, meaning we're doing what is best for us. And through that, we're subconsciously encouraging them to do what is best for them. And so, let us go back to what we want and why we're doing this. We're creating space for others to be everything that they are because this is what we crave. We crave that there's somebody who says, I will love you being everything that you are, although it's weird, although it's different. Because although it doesn't feel weird or different for us, that is the feedback we've gotten from reality. This is the feedback we've gotten from so many people that if we are everything that we are, there's just something weird. That is, something that makes people uncomfortable. In so many ways, this is happening because we can understand others, but people cannot understand us. But they will understand us. They will understand us with time if we really give it that time. So how does that look like? Well, first off, we have to understand, like everything else, nobody can give us the power or the freedom that we're craving. We have to take it. If you look at all the freedom movements in the past, one thing is for sure, you can't give somebody power. You can't give somebody freedom. You have to take it, right? There is maybe something that people can encourage, but at the end of the day, I as an INFJ, I cannot keep waiting for somebody to make that space for me because people are engulfed in their own pain, in their own experience. Just how we, are trying to give people what we think they want, and we even understand people quite well. Think about, how are people supposed to know what you need? It's nearly impossible. And waiting for that and having that expectation of a person is just a recipe for disaster. We have to take it. And so how do we take that power? Well, we don't make space for people. We make space for ourselves. We demand this. And in a way of, I'm just going to take up that space. I'm going to be everything that I am. And yes, it will push people away. Yes, it will make people uncomfortable. But the right kind of people will stay. They will be intrigued. They will be transformed and they will get closer. And the people who don't get triggered by it at all will, see us and will directly feel, oh, this is something I have to get closer to. It's that transition period that is so hard. Because if you're in that old paradigm where you feel like, I can't really take up that space for me, people are not going to like me, you subconsciously surround yourself with people and you create dynamics with people which are based on, yes, you're right, you're not allowed to be all that you are. So even if the same people stay in your life, the dynamic is going to be very different. Some people will leave, and the people who stay, the dynamic you'll have with them will be a completely different one. It's like you're a different person, and therefore they're going to be a different person. Because before, all the connections we made were based on, I'm hollowing myself out, and I'm attaching to you. I can connect with you in your world. And now we're going to switch it around. We're going to say, this is the space I take up. And, people will have a hard time with it in that transition period. You will push people away. But if you say, I don't have another choice, man, this is who I am, and I will have to take up that space because this is what I need. And I'm not going to wait for somebody external to tell me that I have the right to do that I'm worthy enough of doing that. That is the big difference. And so once we stop making space for others because we think that's what other people need, but instead ask ourselves, why are we doing this for other people? We do this for other people because we wish somebody would do that for us. But people need different things. And at the same time, also recognize we can't wait for somebody to make that space for us because they never will. It's not because they're bad people. It's just because they cannot. The only person who can take up your space is you. Even me, I can never make that space for you because I'm not you. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know the nuances of who you are. The only person who really knows that is you. And that's why we have to take up the space. That's why we have to show up in all the ways that are uniquely us and being okay with, cutting off connection, choosing authenticity over connection. And then connecting with people through our authenticity. And to understand that a lot of this space that before was occupied by other people now is going to be occupied by us. This can make such a big difference in your life. I know it made a huge difference in my life, and I know it's super scary, but it's so worth it. And I really encourage you all to take those steps. If you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.